All right, we're going on live here on LinkedIn, and then we'll get started. Boom, boom, boom.
Well, Friday music going. Dude, why aren't you playing ZZ Top?
All right, everyone. Welcome once again to the Manufacturing Ecommerce Success Series. I'm one of your co-hosts, Damon Pistolka, and with me today, my brother from another mother, bromance partner, Curt Anderson. Take it away, Mr. Anderson.
Happy Friday, everybody. Man, look at, we got Ray Zagano in the house today. Greg,
Yeah.
Aaron, our Wisconsin tribe down in Alaska, Ingor, Dan, the man, Bigger, Val.
Yeah.
You guys, welcome. Happy Friday. Gosh, dude, I couldn't sleep last night. I've been fired up all week for this one. I don't know if this person needs an introduction. GailNow is in the house. Gail, welcome. Happy Friday.
Happy Friday.
Happy Friday.
There we go.
I don't know if Gail needs, guys, I don't know if anybody is not connected with Gail. I just dropped Gail's LinkedIn profile in the chat box. So guys, please connect with Gail. If you don't know Gail, man, you are missing out. She is an absolute treat. Gene just joined us. Brian's here. All sorts of amazing people. So let's just dig right in, Gail. Let's just jump right in. So you've had an amazing, incredible, illustrious career. I want to share, I don't know if a lot of people know this little stat about you. You were a bed and breakfast owner. Do I have that correct? Yeah. Like, where's Pele Island? Where is this?
Pele Island is the most southerly point of Canada. It's an island out in Lake Erie. So if you want to find, because often people think Point Pelee is the most, but Pele Island is the most southern point, and it's on the same latitude as Northern California. Yes, I ran a bed and breakfast there. That is usually if someone says, what's the strangest, thing to know about me? Well, depending on who you ask, what's the strangest thing, but
there's a whole list.
That's for another show.
That's for
there we go.
We'll save that. That's later tonight. We'll talk about that. Not now. Yeah. This is a family program here.
Yeah.
1:32 on a Friday.
Yeah.
So anyway, so share a little bit about that. So it's just so north of Sandusky for our friends in Ohio, near Cedar Point. It's kind of like west of Cleveland, near Put-in Bay. Talk a little bit about that experience, and then we want to get in like how you got here.
Yeah. Well, I use transferable skills, and that's one thing that I encourage people in manufacturing also to use is tap into those things. Like, so I originally was a journalist. That's what I went to university for, because my plan was to change the world on deadline. And then that didn't quite work out. I didn't feel that was really the right place to change the world. So I went from there to the bed and breakfast. After that, I was a fundraiser for a culture and recreation complex. And then from there, I met one of the cabinet members, hired me as a marketing manager. And at that point, I had no experience as a manager. It was strictly based from relationship and connections I had. And, I think he believed that he could probably train me to where I needed to be a manager, which I was there for 11 years. And then after that, I decided to go start my own business, which is where I'm at now. And I would like to, maybe what I'll do now might be a good time just to do my quick video introduction, because I think this will help. Is that okay to do that now?
Yeah, do it.
Let's spend that time, because I think we have a lot of people in here. And one of the things that I talk about, especially in manufacturing, is, how can you get outside your comfort zone and also make connections? And even if you're not comfortable all the time with doing everything, there are ways to do that. And we'll talk when we come back talking about curiosity and how curiosity can help rock your world. So here we go. I'm going to share this video. This video was created by my son. And he is a video editor now. So hold on.
All right. Awesome. Well, for those of you listening on LinkedIn Live there, go ahead and drop where you're listening from in the comments. At any comments for Gail. We'll be ready to go while she's getting her video going here.
Well, hello. Every gal needs a cowboy hat. Scanning the room, you look for a familiar face. Everyone is a stranger. Your heart's racing. You feel nauseous. New plan. You meet 4 new people. Okay, 3. 2? You can handle 2. And then you think, I hate this. This just feels so fake. And before you talk to even one new person, you're looking for the nearest exit.
Okay. Crazy. Yo, who invited this chick?
My heart races when I walk into a room full of strangers too. Except it's not anxiety, it's excitement. I'm not thinking networking quota. I'm thinking, look at all these stories. And I get so pumped about talking to people that I don't know.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
Nice. That is awesome.
Yeah.
So that's just so fitting for Gail. That's just so fitting for your personality. Just absolutely love that. And again, guys, if you haven't connected with Gail, you have to connect. She has that natural ability. You feel like you've known her your whole life. She has a contagious enthusiasm, deep passion. So Gail, you've gone from breakfast, bed and breakfast, owner on this wonderful island in Canada. And now you've drifted and did a ton of fundraising. A great career there. I know you did some work with the PGA, actually, golf tournament. And so now you found yourself in manufacturing. Talk about how on earth did you make this transition to manufacturing?
Well, that intro and talking about networking is so key to how I got into manufacturing, because I got into insurance and knew nothing about insurance. I got into manufacturing, and not only manufacturing, but mold making. And I knew like nothing about mold making. I did not understand it. And I believe there's some people from one of the companies I work with, Cavalier. So I will tell this story. It took me, and I'm not going to say maybe how long, it took me a while to figure out that the difference between a mold maker and a molder. And so when I'm working now with some of the staff and some of the people in mold making, I want to, everybody to understand that, hey, you know what? It's okay to stumble and fall, but as long as you pick yourself back up, move on with it and learn some more. So now I do know, oh, Brian Bendig's here. Brian just heard that story. So now I'm learning about the power of mold making and the people that make things. So it's an exciting world. And a lot of people would look at me and go, what? Like, what is that about? And that's where curiosity comes in, because it's really mold making, tool making, manufacturing. It's really about people you meet, the connections you make, and the stories. Because of my background as a journalist, I often say the best stories were from everyday people. I worked in entertainment and did interview some, famous people. But when people ask me for the stories that I remember most, it's the ones from regular people. And manufacturers out there, you have great stories to share about who you are, what you do. And we need to make some of those connections. And that's where the networking and curiosity comes in, because and my 3-step process that I will probably be talking a bit more about that, but it really starts with being curious, asking questions, and we all have that ability to be able to ask questions. And most people want to share information. So if you want to know something, contact someone, ask them a question, ask them to explain what they do. They will be more than happy. Curt, that's how I met you. Sam Gupta. I mean, I'll tell you. Okay. I called him. We started talking about ERP. I'm not exactly sure what all that means, but we had a talk one Saturday morning. We had so many laughs, and I think I'm still learning about ERP. But what was important about that call was the doors that got opened, and just what this show is about. That I'm a regular here every Friday. And even if each week, if the speaker isn't someone that I'm necessarily even maybe like that connected with or that, even interested in, it's what's happening in that chat along the side and in the networking tables afterwards. That's where all the magic happens, is not just listening to the speaker, but how you can talk in the chat. Good example is Brian Bendig is just saying, yes, I hear you. Here's the president of a company like Cavalier Tool and Manufacturing that's stopping in here today to take part. So anybody that needs any tool making done, talk to Brian.
That's perfect. And with mold making, we have, I think, Chase is here, right?
Jake Northup's here too. Yeah.
Oh, Jake, yes. Hi, Jake. Yep. And I think, right, I'm trying to think, looking at who else is in here. I know there were some other people, obviously, right now. Cavalier.
Chase Dixon is in here too.
Yeah. MD Plastics, right?
Yeah.
So and he's a mold maker in just over the border in Ohio. So Chase is in the house. So again, guys, if you're just coming on, just drop your LinkedIn profile. I've dropped Gail's in there. Please connect with Gail. But Gail, let's talk about your video. Like I absolutely love that video. And you're an awesome mom. I know we always talk about your son. Talk about that video where you're like, I get excited meeting these folks as opposed to like, more fake conversations.
Yeah.
Like you've just been you're a fierce networker. You are relentless. You're all over the place. Just talk about how important that's been for you, your business. And again, like you don't have a lifelong career of manufacturing. You've gone into different fields and you crush it just because of the natural ability, that personality you have of engagement and connecting. Just talk about that for a little bit.
A lot of times people think, yes, I would lean more towards being more of an extrovert. I do enjoy networking, but everybody can network when you connect with people that you are interested in. If you have that interest and you can ask questions, you don't have to go to the networking event and, do this. Some people don't like small talk. So I always say, find a group where you find other people that are talking about things you do have an interest in. If you don't want to do the small talk, you don't have to. I talk to people. I talk about cycling. I talk about sometimes parenting. I talk about fitness. I talk about health. I talk about mold making. So find what you're interested in and don't always think about just, is it about business and can you make money? My mom told me this, and this is more in the world of sort of dating relationships. She says, if you marry for money, you'll earn every penny. And if you work for money only, you will earn every penny. Because if you have to wake up and go, oh, I hate work. I know there are people that I've talked to, the best salespeople, they're not, of course, they do it. They like the paycheck, but the best salespeople do it because they like people. They wake up, they're passionate, they're engaged, they're energized.
Yeah.
And that's when you have success. I wake up every day now and I love what I do. And again, not always, but it's finding that that ability to do stuff you love, find the people you like connecting with. I'm in a happy hour each Friday with Sam Gupta. And that has connected me with amazing people. Curt, you've introduced me to someone like Brian Leung, who's now I'm working with him on some Google. So it's fascinating when you cannot think about networking and social media only about what you're going to get from it.
Yeah.
This is a lesson in life. It's really about what can you offer, what can you give, what can you contribute. Inger is on here. Inger is someone that works with me now, and she is probably the best example of someone. She does a lot of talks around inspiration and gratitude, and we often talk about she is the best salesperson, and she doesn't sell in the typical sense of the word, because people come to her because she offers good information. She's supportive. She expresses gratitude. She's very knowledgeable. And there's lots of people that I know on this, like Greg Michio, who shared this event today. Dan Bigger, I want to mention Dan. Now, Dan is someone. Okay, I have to talk about Dan for a minute, because Dan is.
We're all about
Dan, right?
We all got to talk about Dan.
Yeah.
Dan is I call him the poster child for manufacturing, marketing, and sales, because his background is not also in manufacturing, but he is phenomenal at networking, connecting. So anybody that's not connected with him, please connect with him, because he will just go watch what he does. Stand back and watch what he does on LinkedIn. It's amazing. And Twitter. And another person I do want to also mention, because this is about getting outside your comfort zone as well. Tim Galbraith is a sales manager at Cavalier, and he has become someone that's really stretching his comfort zone when it comes to some things about social media, when it comes to doing trade shows. And I sometimes think they question me at times, but they've had great success, because I often say, I'll quote Damon right now, you want to be the red M&M in the bowl of green M&Ms. People also are reluctant to do that. They often think that if they do that, they're going to look like they're bragging. They're going to look like, oh, people might laugh at me. And you know what? They might. But you're not going to please everyone. You're not chocolate. Nope. So just think about how you can connect with the right people. And I've done lots of testing on this and been teased about selfies and teased about all sorts of things, but people remember it, and they approach me because they want to learn more about that. Right. So even if you're not comfortable with it, again, Inger's a good example. She said she started out, she hated doing videos, and now she's about ready to launch a live show. So
Yeah.
both
Yeah.
you are good examples too. So
That's right, man. I'm 52. I have no hair and I'm all over the place, you know?
Yeah.
So if I can do it, anybody can do it. But I absolutely love what you're saying here, Gail. And what a perfect title, the Chief Curiosity Officer. My dear friend, Jean Corrales is on the call with us today. Gail, you need to connect with Jean. She's a business advisor with a Small Business Development Center in New York. And her and I go way back. And I was with the SBDC, Small Business Development Center. Encourage everybody, go out there, visit your SBDCs. But as an advisor, I always kidded around. I'm like, you know what? I'm the advisor that hates giving advice. I figured, you know, I could do a great job. The better, I won't use the word perfected, but the better questions I asked, the better I could become as an advisor. So I love what you're saying about being curious.
Yeah.
And like Inger is a perfect example. Inger, I would love to connect with you sometime. I know I see your posts all the time. Selfless, you know, always helping, always doing shout outs to other. Greg Mishu is just phenomenal at this. Greg, can't tell you how much I appreciate you. And of course, you mentioned Dan Bigger, just that relentless marketer, always lifting people up, always connecting. And of course, my friend Damon. All of us are here because of Damon. Damon, through COVID, dude, you're like MVP. I know you're so modest, but going through that. But let's dig into manufacturers. Okay, we have a lot of manufacturers on the call today. That's our friend Don in Alaska, again, Chase in Ohio, Val here in New York. So for our manufacturers that are very resistant, they're reluctant, they think social, like, that's posting what I dinner on Facebook last night. That's not for me. Let's dispel that myth right here, right now, Gail. Talk about like what social strategies, what should manufacturers be doing right now with social?
Well, here's the thing. If you might be doing okay right now, but I often say you don't want that well to run dry, because priming a dry well is never a good idea.
Yep.
The pandemic has forced manufacturers into the forefront of social media, and there is some resistance because they're not used to it. They're used to doing face-to-face. They're used to doing trade shows, but the world has changed. And even now with upcoming trade shows, you're going to find fewer people. You're just not going to find the leads. This has already been happening in other areas in the market, in other retail and other, worlds of retail and consumerism. Manufacturing is just a little slow on the uptake on this. And I strongly suggest that people start, looking at how to use social media as a tool. And I get asked as well, like, what social media platform should I be on? And I always say you should be on the platform where your clients are, your customers, your future, and also what are you going to use and embrace and be able to tailor it with your messaging. So that's and you don't have to like it. I think that's the other thing. Yeah. It's not necessarily something that you may love, but we all do things that we don't love sometimes. So one of the teachings that I do around curiosity, and then I have a 3-step process, which is sign up, suit up, and show up. So the sign up part, this is, if you don't do step 1, you're not going to be successful at 2 and 3. Right. Step 1 is mindsets. You have to sign up and decide, do you want to do this? Do you want to have success at sales? Do you want to be able to get new clients? Do you want to have another opportunity? It's another tool to use. It's not the only tool. It's one of many tools. You're still going to be on the phone. You're still going to see people in person, but you have to start looking at other opportunities. So that's the sign up. Deciding that you're going to do this, even if you don't want to do it. Number 2 is the suit up. That's where you do the research. You start looking at what platforms are the best for you to use. Maybe you'll like LinkedIn. Maybe you can use Facebook, Twitter. That's where you can also reach out, get some help. There's lots of people, even on this call right now, that can help you, guide you through that. And then the final one, my most favorite, is show up. You do need to show up. You need to step up, use some video, be able to show up at networking events, even if you're uncomfortable and maybe you don't know, you're not sure how to use the platform. And I know there's some people on here today I see, and I would bet that Brian, I'm going to do another show from Kevlar. I don't think he's been on Remo before. He's here. He's commenting. He's a president of a company. To me, that company last year also had their best year ever during the pandemic.
Well done, Brian.
Yes, there's a connection here. If you connect the dots between, and if you look at anybody that's had success, they're usually that red M&M They stepped outside their comfort zone. I mean, I started again as in journalism and have had to make some changes along the road. And Dan, I'm going to do it, Dan, bigger shout out again, because he's saying issues with LinkedIn. And if you have too many connections and all that, come over to TikTok.
And Twitter.
And Twitter. Yeah, Twitter is pretty unlimited, but you can have there's 4 million followers on TikTok. So, and that's an area. See, now that's outside. I've started doing some TikTok because that's a bit outside my comfort zone. But with my son's help, I'm trying some different things because it's an opportunity for me also to expand and get outside my comfort zone. Still, I know people still think, "Oh, come on, Gail, you must be that's your comfort zone."
Right.
But
Right. So yeah, like Dan says, any of us with teenagers, we'll just get our, like Gail, like you did, we'll just get our teenagers to help us with TikTok. But Damon, what were you going to say?
Well, I mean, I think even, comfort zone is relative, right? And comfort zone could be, I've never posted on a platform before. And I know that, that LinkedIn is my platform. I should be posting and people really, and especially manufacturers, they look at this and, hell, I'm an engineer, or I've moved out of my comfort zone by miles over the years. And what we really need to understand is, I think that when we, as manufacturers, look at it and we think social media and we all gravitate, and it may be our age, Facebook. And it's not like, it's not like that. Really, it's about meeting people. And meeting people, learning about them, sharing stories, and like yesterday we had an event. We're doing e-commerce training and met Chase and who was Mark Hill from MD Plastics. Well, I used to be injection molding. I mean, I grew up. I started when I was in my teens. And until my mid 30s, I was in molding. And, you just meet these people as just interesting stories. And, Dan being in molding, Dan and I connected, and now Dan's in extrusion. Well, one of the companies that I ran after that, we bought tens of thousands of feet of different types of extrusion to make the products we did. And it's just so much fun meeting people and talking to them, and they're learning their stories, and then building this network of people that can help everyone succeed.
Yeah.
Damon, you said it best. Comfort zone is relative. So I don't expect, I'm not saying do what I do. This is me. I do certain platforms. Maybe for a lot of people that are starting out, it's maybe just, saying I'm going to post once a month, once every 2 weeks, especially on LinkedIn. That's a good place probably to start. To me, it's like the safest place. If you don't want to show too much, personality at first, you just want to start out at an easier pace. And LinkedIn is no longer just for people looking for jobs. LinkedIn has changed dramatically. The other thing is that I'm really finding when we make assumptions about some of these platforms, there's, as I've been digging in and really watching what's happening on TikTok, there's some changes on there, and it's not all young people on there. So again, it takes, but again, you have to find who is your audience, where are they at, how do you communicate? You're not going to communicate the same way on each platform. And, but again, it comes down to, I go back to what is your goal? And if you want to have success, look at the people who are doing well right now and the people who are struggling. And I've seen this across the board with people that have, stepped outside their comfort zone. And I've got feedback from people that once they start using a social media, they do get over time people reaching out to them, wanting to do business with them, but it doesn't happen right away.
Oh, no.
That's so start. If you know what they say, if you want to build something, you got to start now to build over time. Like I've been building in manufacturing over the last, year and a half or
right.
Yeah.
Right. And so to give a shout out to, I'm president of the Greg Michaud fan club, that Damon, right?
Yeah.
So, just to give a shout out to my buddy, Greg Michaud,
Yes.
So he preaches the digital twin. If anybody has not seen one of his workshops, webinars, his content, you have to connect with Greg Michaud. And I love what you're saying, Gail, because what he preaches, that digital twin, is like act online like you would in person. And so at our e-commerce training just yesterday, Mark, Chase, again, if it's new to you, like I broke up with Facebook a while ago. You're welcome, Greg. But I broke up with Facebook a while ago. Just not my, it was my thing a while ago, not my thing anymore. So like again, if you have that stigma or that that negativity towards like Facebook, geez, I don't want to connect with somebody I went to prom with 100 years ago, that type of thing. But it's a totally different story. And again, every relationship on here, John in Jersey, Aaron, all of you guys, is purely not the relationships we've created through a really difficult past 18 months. All these amazing friendships have come in relationships, and we're doing business together. We're rooting each other on. We're helping propel each other's businesses, all through and thanks to LinkedIn.
Both the people here. That's how we all met. Everybody on the stage here.
That's right.
Yeah,
that's right. It's all about LinkedIn. So again, so Gail, let's speak to that custom manufacturer. Okay. Their website looks like, Damon, what do you call it? Back to, back to the 90s or whatever. Yeah. So, let's say your website is, your nephew did it in 2005. It's a little shaky, a little resistant. How do you work with, say a guy like Brian? We're like, hey, I've built a really successful business for a long time without this whole social media thing. But you know what? The world's upside down now. I can't go to trade shows. My sales reps are grounded. How do you help them let's go through some baby steps through that manufacturer that's a little resistant to this.
Well, number one, I will say the reason I am working with Cavalier and it's gone well is that they were already had the website. They were already steps ahead. And Brian has an exceptional marketing mind already. So that's why we work really well together. Mm-hmm. I will say for people starting out, if you have a website, that's probably step one. But you do need a website. You need a functioning website. You need a website that should reflect your image, much like what Greg said, your digital twin. It should reflect who you are. Like, what is it that you stand for, your values? So, and you can get some websites done, WordPress. Things have changed again, too, in terms of you can, set your budget to get a website made. The next thing is looking at how you can, and this is what I do. I always try to do a whole strategy, and that's where I provide some guidance around that. And there are other people like Greg's, there's people on this call too that could also help. What you want to do is look at what are your goals and then setting out the objectives and what are the steps that will get you there. So it's not like, okay, I have to be on every platform. I actually say, no, you should pick the platforms again that you're going to actually manage and work with. And there's different views in this. This gets a little more complicated because you want to also establish your name and, get your name on all these platforms. But pick which one that really is going to resonate and where you're going to connect. And, I use LinkedIn differently than Facebook, differently than Twitter. And I don't use the same messaging across each platform. And, it's really about taking some time to plan out that and decide what you're going to commit to and how you can set, what is your budget, and seeing marketing as just like, the equipment you're buying. People will invest in IT and HR and other pieces of equipment. Well, marketing is also something you need to invest in, because you want to invest also in, even when you're doing well and having success, that's the time when you're still promoting. So a lot of times what happens is people either stop when they're doing well or stop when they're not doing well. And you want to have consistency. If I can suggest one key thing when it comes to social, when it comes to building your brand, be consistent. If you're going to post once a month, post on a regular enough basis, show up regularly in networking groups, because people will open doors for you. But if you don't show up, that won't happen.
Consistency is absolutely key, absolutely critical. That's why we're here at 10:32, right, Damon?
Yep.
Every week,
every Friday.
But I love, I think Ray Zagano had to jump, but Ray gives an awesome line. If you guys don't know, connect with Ray Zagano. He talks about, so many manufacturers, they're like, I don't have time for social media. I'm too busy making cold calls and sending emails that nobody responds to. I just have no time for social media. So I think that's one of the most brilliant lines I've ever heard. But, our group here on Fridays, Dan and John, everybody, the Twitter manufacturing group, every Thursday, 2:00 Eastern time, they do an amazing group. And what's every one of these, what are they doing? They're building community. Damon, I know that's what you're preaching a ton in our training, our workshops.
Yeah, it's fun.
You know, is talk about building community. Like talk about like what you've done with Exit Your Way.
Well, you know, it really happens with you, and I see Dan doing this with the USA Manufacturing Hour. It really happens because you're like, hey, I just want to help people, and then all of a sudden, more and more people get engaged, and you're injecting energy, and they're injecting energy, and then you just start to talk about stuff and business and challenges, and become friends with people, and it's so much fun. It's like it's intoxicating to be able to meet with people and learn more about them, and you know. And then honestly, it started off in COVID because business owners were having problems. I knew it was a hard time. And it's something that I had gone through in businesses before because I was doing turnaround management for equity companies. And then the next thing you know, I was just going to have some Zoom calls with a few of the people I knew. And pretty soon we got 60 people on a Zoom call. And here we are a year and a half later or whatever the heck it is. And we've got all these shows and podcasts. And it's just so much fun meeting people and building relationships. And if you're in sales, like Dan's doing with the USA Manufacturing Hour group on the Twitter chats, all this is fun growing your business by building relationships. It just is.
You know, and Damon, you said it best too, that, you know, what is that comfort zone for people? And, you know, what is it? Then it goes back to how do you define success? Because if you want to have sales, even if you may not find it as fun, you will, you know, if you're in the right group, and you may have to test out a few. That's the other key thing is maybe,
100%.
You know, maybe this isn't the right group, but another one is.
Yep.
I found that there's some groups that I've connected with, and you know, for me, my long-term goal is also to do speaking in the manufacturing world and use some of these, you know, my background and knowledge. And now doors have opened up globally. So the same thing can happen with salespeople because there's the global connections you can make now by using virtual networking is exceptional. There is no borders. You don't have to worry. Like right now, even with the border being closed, it doesn't stop me from, you know, jumping onto even, you know, a virtual conference, doing calls using, you know, this type of platform, using Hopin, using Zoom. I use StreamYards, starting a live show. So yes, I agree with you, Damon. There's nothing better to a salesperson than closing some deals and building relationships that end up in not just, you know, the money part of it, but also helping someone solve a problem.
Yeah.
What better way to show people how to solve a problem than telling a story on social? That's phenomenal.
Well, and manufacturers have so many stories. They don't even understand the stories they have. You know, and every time you talk with a manufacturer, I just go, God, there's so much here. There's so much here to talk about. And it's like, well, I just run this manufacturing business, and but they didn't understand, like all of us, that our day-to-day is interesting to hear how we've overcome challenges or our successes and things like that. So,
and it's not an age thing. I will say this, like a lot of people say, oh, social media, it's young people. No, young people may use it for certain reasons, but I tell you, people that have the knowledge and the expertise, it's like learning learning any new tool that you have to use. And I will say this, I started on a manual typewriter. I mean, okay, I was a mere child, but yeah, a manual typewriter to the typewriter, now to using all these devices and technology. So believe me, it's not an age, it's a mindset. And if you don't have the right mindset, you will probably you'll have some difficulties as we move forward, because if you don't change your mindset, it's going to be hard to find new and creative ways. So,
yeah.
And that's perfect, Gail. And Dan Bigger says, I was explaining dot printers to my kids last night. Well, guess what? Damon was at ZZ Top last night for us older dudes. And Damon, I know both of you and I, we had our 8-track players. And we burned out ZZ Top all the time back in the day, right?
Fandango.
Right. So again, what I love what you're saying, Gail, and again, man, I'm just big bromance. Damon, I'm cheating on you. I got to throw another shout out to Greg. You know, Greg Mishu always preaches that know, like, and trust. like, and trust. And we had Dave Meyer, another great marketer for manufacturers in Minneapolis. He was our guest back in July.
Yeah.
And he talks about, he had a slide up in his presentation, 70% of that purchase or the buying decision is already made before they even pick up the phone.
Yep.
So again, what we preach at our, training workshops, Don, Alaska, you've heard me say this 1,000 times. How can we help those buyers make a buying decision on a Friday night at midnight without having to wait for us to open up our doors on Monday? And Damon, just yesterday, you were talking about it's not B2B. It's not B2C. What is it?
Human to human.
Human to human. And that's what social is, guys. So again, any manufacturers out there that, hey, new to this whole social thing, let's just be ourselves. Let's put ourselves out there. We're flawed, videos, so on and so forth. Gail, now one of the things I love about, I actually went back and looked like some of our conversation. I'm like, when did Gail and I actually meet, and went back to some of our conversations. Now you you deem yourself a little bit of an accountability coach, if you will. Am I correct? Right.
Yeah.
So, but if a client isn't really kind of like what, how do you handle that?
Well, I just was on a network event earlier today, Global Tea Break, and one of the women that was in that small group said, she doesn't take all clients, and I think that's a really, people say, whoa, that you should, and like, no, I think again the most successful consultants are there is some being selective, but it's like any relationship. You don't want to just, connect up with anybody. You want to connect with people that have similar values. And for me, it's like there has to be some buy-in to that they're committed to that 3-step process. So step 1, there has to be the mindset and the belief in social media, and also the belief in me. I mean, not to sound cocky with this, but like I have had a lifetime now of some experiences from being in journalism to being a marketing manager. I've tested out things and I know what works. And if I don't know, this is what I learned as a journalist, and this is so key. If I don't know something, I know who to go to get the answer. So there's people like, lots of people in this call, and Greg Michos would be a really good person as well. There's lots of agencies out there. Brian Leung, I mean, I know something about Google Analytics, but we're going to be working together because he's going to help me take that up to the next level. So that's key. It's yes, in terms of, that's why I call myself a strategy guide. I'm not so much a coach, because a coach is, supposed to let me help you get there. I'm going to say, listen, I'm going to guide you and sort of kind of get out of the way a bit and let's move forward, because it's like going on a trip. So let me prepare the map. Let me prepare the snacks. Now you may want, chocolate chip cookies instead of oatmeal raisin, but you want cookies, right? So this is the plan that I bring forward, and it works. So that's the other thing. It works. And, working with the clients that I do have, I also have one client outside of manufacturing in mental health. It's Canadian Mental Health Association locally. And that we've also had some connection. I love connecting, like you, Curt, who I call the manufacturing matchmaker. I like to connect the different parts of my world. And there's lots of, and that would be probably a discussion for another day to talk about the impact of, mental health and issues for manufacturing, especially in male dominated workplaces. We really need to do more about that too. So.
No, that's awesome. And I think Ingor dropped a note, Damon, we said human to human, it's heart to heart, and that's the thing, is like, we're all in this together and just coming online. And it's just, and again, like we, back to Ray Zagano, we're giving shout outs to a lot of people today. He calls it, we were talking yesterday about the wee syndrome, you too much, make it all about us and me and we and I on your website. Or like they call it like commission breath, like you have that, you're at that networking event or you're at that chamber event and somebody's always trying to sell you. Again, Dan Bigger, just out there relentlessly helping. Greg said being the go-giver. Gail, I know we could chat all day, my friend, but I want to give us time to get back to the table. So we'll start winding down. What's in store for you? So we're coming into kind of the last of 2021. Man, time flies while we're having. What's on the forefront for you? Where are you taking your business? What are you preaching to your clients moving forward for the rest of 2021?
Well, it's continuing to just keep, taking it up a notch. So I like to lead by example. So one of the things I am doing is I am exploring and doing some things on TikTok, not so much develop on my TikTok platform, but how to TikTokify some of my videos, like the one that my son did. How can we bring a little bit more fun to things that make it, enjoyable? The other thing that is coming up, there is a trade show. I'm working on that with my client to go to the AmeriMold, which is in Chicago. So that's all about planning, doing the social, connecting the dots between, we'll be doing some Google ads. We'll be doing, preparation for the actual on the floor type work, as well as the digital. So again, connecting those dots. And I loved what Greg said and what you said. And just to summarize this is that, bring yourself to social just as you would if you were on the floor at the trade show. It's really important that that personality comes out, because people want to do business with those individuals that they can connect with. So that's really key. And the next thing that I'm doing is for 2022, once traveling is, I will be, if anyone now wants to book me as a speaker, please get in touch. I am lining up my calendar for traveling the world and being a manufacturing marketing speaker as a chief curiosity officer.
That is so awesome. And that's when, when you and I first met, that was one of the first things you shared with me. Like, I'm on a warpath. I'm on a mission. This is the direction I'm going. So Gail, everybody on this call, there are tons of people in your network, in your corner. Mm-hmm. We are supporting you. We are rooting you on to success, victory. It's just such an honor and privilege being in your circle. You're just such a breath of fresh air, man. I can't express how much I appreciate you guys. Again, I dropped Gail's LinkedIn profile in the chat box. What I'd like to do is, how we doing time? Man, we're at quarter after already. I'm going to give you some time. Okay. So let's wrap up on a couple of notes. Number one, next Friday, Damon, Aaron is in the house. Aaron from Wisconsin. Man, we're going to geek out hard on e-commerce for manufacturers. Aaron, thank you. We are looking forward to that. Guys, I'm dropping a link in the chat box. Man, you do not want to miss this. Temple University. Damon, what's going on at Temple University on Wednesday at 12 o'clock Eastern time?
I guess I'm speaking.
You are so humble. So guys, if you want a rock star webinar on e-commerce for manufacturers, Damon, we're blowing out this whole e-commerce webinar series, Temple University. Damon, I dropped the link in the chat box. If you want to catch Damon, 12 o'clock Eastern time, 9 o'clock Pacific on Wednesday. Gail, I'm giving you a big virtual hug. I want to thank you. I appreciate you. You are just such a, big hug. We all love you. Guys, go out and connect with Gail. Be like Gail. Just spread that passion, that contagious enthusiasm. Gail, God bless you. God bless everybody. Damon, take it away, my friend.
All right, Curt. Thanks so much, Gail, for being here today. It's awesome, and it's hard not to get fired up when you're on stage with two people like this. Thanks everyone in the chat. Russ Hedge is over there on LinkedIn Live, commenting, giving good stuff for Gail too. So thanks being there on LinkedIn Live. We're going to drop off there and go back to the tables on Remo.
Shout out to Brian. Shout out to Brian in Toronto. Thanks, dude. Thanks for being here today.
Yep. Good stuff.